Go.
Why did I decide to join the Marine Corps? Well, I've actually always wanted to be a Marine. So my wanting to join the Marine Corps goes way back when I was still in grade school, and finally made it at age 18. I believe 18 or 19. I can't even remember now how old I was, but finally made it in the Marine Corps. First thing that happened to all recruits is that you are sent to boot camp. And in boot camp, they teach you how to march, how to fire a rifle, and how to listen to your superior officers tell you what to do, even though you may not want to do it. But that's what boot camp is all about. 10 weeks later, if you've listened to your instructors properly, you earned your first stripe and you became a private first class, and you also became a Marine. After boot camp, all Marines are sent to Camp Pendleton, California, for the West. I'm not sure where they go for the East Coast, but we went to Camp Pendleton for basic infantry training, and that lasted for 4 more weeks. Everyone has to go to basic infantry training because the Marine Corps says you are a rifleman first, and after that, then you're assigned to whatever it is the Marine Corps decides to assign you to. So now that I finished my basic infantry training, I received my orders to report to the 3rd Marine Division, 3rd Tank Battalion in Japan. It's a long way from Minnesota. But we got on a ship. It was a cruise ship at one time converted into not a cargo ship, a troop carrier. And it took us about a week and a half sailing to get over to Japan. And I joined the 3rd Marine Division, 3rd Tank Battalion, and was assigned to Tank 115. That would have been 1st Platoon, the 5th Tank. There's 5 tanks in each platoon. So we began my training, tank training then. My first job was as a loader, just handing cannon shells for the 90 millimeter cannon that we had on the tank into the breech of the cannon for the gunner to fire. I went from that position then to tank commander and spent about 4 or 5 months in Japan with the 3rd Tank Battalion and received orders to report to the 1st Tank Battalion in Korea. It wasn't a happy day for me because I had no desire to go to Korea, but orders were orders, and we boarded a ship and sailed to Korea, where I wound up with the 1st Tank Battalion, 1st Marine Division in Korea. We spent about 3 or 4 months there, and the 1st Marine Division was packing up and leaving. The war was over. In fact, the war was over when I got there. So we left Korea back to the United States. We came back in a ship called LST, Landing Ship Tank. It's a pretty much flat-bottomed boat, almost like a barge. It took us 30 days to cross the Pacific Ocean in the landing ship tank. It's a long time on the sea. Wound up in California, back at Camp Pendleton, where we made our home until I was discharged from the Marine Corps. So I spent the balance of my career in Camp Pendleton with the 1st Marine Division. So while I was in Japan, I was asked by our company commander if I would attend. Well, they ask you, but basically they're telling you to attend this school called ABC School, which stands for Atomic, Biological, and Chemical Warfare School. And the object of this class or school was to determine if we were being attacked, what the attack consisted of, whether it was one of those 3, atomic, biological, or chemical warfare. And we had to determine the extent of the damage that this would have taken. So I had to go out and monitor this event and determine whether it was safe for the rest of our company to go out in this environment. And at first I thought, this is really a pretty good deal. There, I'm going to be a monitor. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, oh, wait a minute. They want me to go out first. If this turns out to be really severe, I'm not coming back. I'll be dead. So it wasn't as good a deal as I first thought. But at any rate, I was the company monitor. And if something bad happened, I had to go out and determine, number one, what it was, atomic, biological, or chemical, and to what extent the event that happened. So whether it was safe for the troops to come out behind me or that they needed to remain behind until an all clear was declared. So that was a class that I attended, ABC school. So it's January 1956 now, and my tour of duty with the Marine Corps was over, and I had two options. I would either be discharged from the Marine Corps or I could re-enlist, and our company commander called me in and wanted to know if I was interested in continuing my service with the Marine Corps. And I said, I think I'm ready for something else. So I begged off and was discharged and came home and began another career with deluxe check printers that I spent 35 years with and retired. I don't have any regrets about my time in the Marine Corps. I think it's something that everyone, all young men and women, would benefit from serving some time in the service. It's a great teaching tool for young men and women. But thinking back on my time in the service, as I said, I was discharged in 1956. Pretty good time for me to leave the service because it was shortly after that, probably the early 60s, when things started erupting in the Far East again in a place called Vietnam. Fortunately for me, I was too old. I had married and we had a couple children by that time, and Marine Corps wasn't interested in someone with a family. Fortunately for me, it was not a very good war. No wars are good wars, but this one was really bad. So I guess I was sort of blessed in a way because by the time I enlisted in the Marine Corps, the Korean War was over and the Vietnam War hadn't started by the time my tour of duty was finished. So I was a pretty lucky guy, I guess. I have an older brother, 5 years older than me, so he was just right for the Korean War. He was drafted, sent to Korea. Fortunately for him, he managed to make it back in one piece. And technically, I have kidded him because both of us are considered Korean War veterans, although I'm not a combat veteran. He certainly is and was. So that was the end of my Marine Corps time.